Hello, my beautiful friends, and thank you for tuning in to another video in my YouTube channel, The Butterfly Effect 44. Um, Appreciate that you're here, and mainly I appreciate that you're showing up for yourself. And I am Vanessa Hernandez, and I am an integration and wellness coach. And so today's video is going to be about one of my favorite topics. Hence, I am an integration coach. It is about integration. Now, I did recently interview one of my soul sisters, Kieran Shines. And if you haven't watched the video, you can actually go to the previous video that I recorded, and it was a beautiful experience and interview. We talk about, why is it so important to have a higher level of consciousness in these days. We talked about plant medicine, and we actually touched a little bit of integration, which is key when we're going in the self-transformation journey. But today I want to take the integration topic a little bit further in more depth. And so I want to start by saying, using that analogy of one of my favorite ones to use, the caterpillar and the butterfly. So we know that the caterpillar is born with a blueprint to become a butterfly. That's part of their nature, right? Now, if we apply that to humans, not everybody is born. I think we are born with that blueprint, but we not always find it in this lifetime. Does that make sense? Right? I guess, not everybody is meant to find it. But anyways, to go over the process. And so, when we look at the caterpillar, right, it's born from an egg, and then it comes a larva, and then the larva becomes the caterpillar. And so it eats a lot of food, it consumes a lot of food before putting itself into the cocoon. And so during the cocoon process, this caterpillar completely disintegrates. Like, it becomes just goo. So it can reintegrate into a different creature, totally different creature, which is the butterfly. And even when you look at the form that it was before, right, to the form that it becomes, it's like such a miracle to see that, and to see that a creature can go through such transformation. And so when we apply that to our own journey of transformation, it's just amazing. It's just like such a beautiful, I don't know, it's beyond my words, to be honest with you. But only if we're open, if we're willing, if we trust ourselves and we trust the universe that we can fly, then we can go through that transformation. And so for me, it has been about 5-6 years now journey, and it started all with my mental health. Had to experience some mental health issues like depression, anxiety, to realize that my life wasn't working, and went into this rabbit hole of wanting to know more about me, who I was deep inside. And so I went into the spiritual journey, self-transformation journey. And one of the aspects that I found in discovering little by little who I truly are, it's integrating a lot of the parts that got fragmented in my childhood, in my youth, and my young adult life. And so bringing light to all the beliefs, the programming, the conditioning, the trauma that I experienced as a child and in my youth, hasn't been the easiest, but I'm gonna say it has been the most rewarding part of the process, because I've been able to discover the gifts, the teachings, and transcend a lot of these stuff that can hold us prisoners of our own, especially in our own mind. So that's been a journey on itself. And so let's just see in the butterfly transformation, being in that cocoon, that dark period, right? That's when we face all of the shadows, we discover truths about ourselves. We discover what's underneath, in the unconscious and subconscious, right? So what's been dictating our actions, our behaviors, those cycles, the patterns that we have not been able to get out of, and what we've been attracting, people, events, jobs, circumstances, that we've been attracting, because our ego wants richness, wealth, health, wants all the good stuff, right? But underneath all of that, our subconscious is what's attracting what we're getting. There's this beautiful axiom that I read on a book, Existential Kink is the book, but the axiom is, how does it go? Having it is proof of wanting it. So to the subconscious level, we want something that we are experiencing. Does that make sense? So having, and I'm just gonna put it this way. I'm gonna put an example on my own journey. So, for maybe about a year, I've been wanting to meet a partner, right? And I kept my options open, right? But I am deep inside, sometimes when I think about it, and I said, am I ready for a partnership? Am I ready for a relationship? And there's these little fears, what if I get hurt? What if I'm not the person, that he's looking for? What if I get rejected? What if all of those little fears come up? And bringing awareness to that, it's really important, because our ego wants stuff, but underneath in our subconscious, we hold fears and limitations that it's preventing us from attracting that person, at least for me, right? And so that has been also part of my work. And the other thing too, okay, my ego wants to attract someone because I don't have it. It's lacking. I'm wanting it, right? Well, my ego wants it. But probably my soul doesn't, because my soul is fine. My soul is good whether I have someone in my life or not. But there's also the fear part, like the subconscious part that's not always been in that awareness. Does that make sense? Hope that you're able to see the correlation, right? And so in the same book that I'm talking about, Existential Kink, there was an exercise where it's called the fear inventory. And so for everything that you want in your life that your ego wants. Like, could be money, a relationship, successful business. You can do this exercise and take each thing that you want and write 10 fears that if you were to have those things, what are the fears that are underneath that. And let me tell you, that exercise brought so much awareness to the axiom of having it is evidence of wanting it. Okay, so that was a beautiful revelation. And so we get to integrate, right? To integrate, okay, the part of me feels fearful because I still hold that belief that I'm gonna be rejected, or that belief that I'm not good enough, that I'm unwanted, that I was abandoned, or that I'm gonna be abandoned, right? Like happened when I was little with my dad. So I still holding that story in my mind. Not anymore, but what I mean, I was, right? And so I brought that awareness. Now, when I see the part of me, the younger part of me that still felt rejected, abandoned, and wanted, unlovable, and so I observed, and then all what that part wants is to be loved, to be accepted, to be with compassion. But it doesn't have to be acceptance from someone externally. It just wants my own acceptance. And so learning to use my higher self, that part of me that's my own essence, my soul, and embrace that part with love and compassion, and accept it, and release that energy that's been there for decades, right? That prison in my mind of memories that have held me hostage to my own happiness, to my own expansion. And so I get to integrate that part. And that's been the work, at least in the last couple of years. And every time I get to uncover more and more and more of those parts. And all they wanted was love from me, from myself. And that's what self-love is so important, because I get to self-accept those parts. And it just feels such a relief, when I come to realize that that's all they wanted. And it is an ongoing process. It's consistent process too, because one thing that I've noticed, I have not been able to reconcile those parts in one session, right? It takes many sessions, how many sessions it takes. But it's such a beautiful thing to see it become part of my whole being. And so we can look at integration as the bridge or the gap between where we are, the work we have, like seeing our lives for what it is, like where we are at. And okay, this is the development that I want to do. I want to get to know more about myself, do the work. And so closing that gap, getting from where I am to where I want to be, is also part of an integration process, right? And then so in this process, we get to discover and dissolve a lot of these illusion, right? The limitations and the way we think, and we get to learn to see life with a different lens, not from a victim side, but more from a beneficiary state of mind. And so we get to uncover the illusion of what we've been holding ourselves hostage to. And the other part of integration that applied to me personally is aligning the mind, body, and soul, and the spirit. Now, some people use spirit and soul interchangeable, but I think it's different. I think the spirit is the life force to make us live like that, the breath, the blood, the heart, right? And don't ask me where is the spirit. I'm going to say it's a bunch of things that gives us life. The soul, though, I can call it, is our consciousness, our higher consciousness, is that divine energy that we carry that connects to the highest consciousness in the universe. Call it God, call it higher divine being, I don't know, God, divine, whatever. And so that's our soul. Our soul is boundless. Our soul is infinite, and this is when we get to discover more of that. We get to realize that we're infinite beings and we're just having a human experience, which is, our physical plane and our mental plane, right? So integration is integrating all of that as to act and behave more in alignment with all those parts, with the ego, which is, part of our physical and mental plane, our soul and our spirit, right? So it's all in alignment. And taking aligned action is what takes us there too. And so in my own journey or in my own experience, integration has been bringing all of that together. Now, it's like a puzzle, right? We're a puzzle, right? Our lives is a puzzle when you look at it from that perspective. And so, we can spend a whole life trying to put the puzzle together and focuses just in the little things. But when you zoom out and you look at the big picture, then it gets easier to find those pieces to put it together. And so becoming more the observant, the witness of our lives, and not to get so much in the mind, because the mind is a beautiful servant, but unfortunately we can't let our mind be the master. Believe me, I've been there, not fun. And so this is why, it's taking me such a long time to really do this, because, I let my mind govern all my actions and my behaviors, and nothing good can happen when we let that happen, right? We're very reactive, we're fearful, we get limited. And so now I get to do this work from an energy of love, from an energy of value, from an energy of self-worth. And so we all can contribute to the world. We all have that capacity, that power, but it takes work, and it takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes self-love, and it takes compassion, and integration, to get to know all those parts of us and acknowledge them and love them and bring them to a state that they can of wholeness, and living from a more wholehearted state, right? So and it takes a lot of work to recognize, to acknowledge it, but it's beautiful work. It's beautiful to see ourselves progress, and I'm not competing with anybody. I am just competing with myself, like seeing myself where I was last year to compare to where I am now. It's a huge difference. And I mean, the most difference has been in the last couple of months, because I have been able to integrate this part of me that had not felt valuable, that had felt the need that it needed another course, it needed to have certifications to do this work and to bring this work to the world. And so, seeing the illusion of that, and yes, there's Tony Robbins, there is Peter Crone, there is Gabby Bernstein, they're all beautiful masters of their own life, but they have their crowd, they have the people that follow them, the people that work with them, right? And eventually, if I'm now aiming to be like Tony Robbins, right? But I'm aiming to be my best self in my own right. And so whoever feels called to listen to this video, to watch this video, great, and to be inspired perhaps by one of or two things I say, amazing. That's all I'm looking for, to inspire one or two people. That's great. And to maybe start doing your own journey, to do the work. And so that becomes integration as well. Integration starts within us. We have to do the work first in ourselves. And so you will reflect back on others, because at the end of the day, we are mirrors to each other. People will say or do something and you'll react. It'll maybe trigger something in you. So that's reflecting. That person says something, that will reflect back, whether it's going to be a negative reflection or a positive reflection. You're still going to have that kind of reaction. So if it is something that is a trigger, then that is your job to question it. Why is it triggering me? What am I witnessing that is happening? What is within me that's that I haven't resolved or healed? And obviously that person said that, but it's probably their own projections of their own fear, right? Has nothing to do with you. So just as an example of how you can start this process. And there's this beautiful quote. I'm just trying to remember how he says it, because it says, no one, the words of other people cannot hurt you only if you already believe them about yourself. And I think I butchered that, but hey, that's the point. That anything that other people say to you, it triggers, let's say if it triggers you, then it's something that you already believe about yourself, that you're not good enough, that you're not, however you take it, right? And so when you feel inspired by someone, and this is what I've noticed with myself, someone like, a lot of the teachings of Peter Crone and Gabby Bernstein, and then there's this new beautiful coach that I got to do some work with, Alisa Nobriga. A lot of the stuff, it's so inspiring, because I already believe that about myself in this journey that I have been, cleaning up a lot of these old beliefs, old programming, and about relationships, and about my own relationship with myself, and self-love and compassion. And so, some people will reflect back inspiration, and you're gonna feel like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. I love that. And, because you already have something within you that believes it. And so, and that's how we reflect back to each other, or you either react and, project on people, or you judge them. And so That's the work, bringing awareness to those parts and heal them, right? Understand that the work is within you and is with yourself. You can't control what other people say and do or believe. You can only control what you believe about yourself, what you know, your own lens, right? And so it's about, yeah, and then talking about lenses is we are born, you know, we are born beautifully whole. If you think about it, as kids, we're free to do whatever we want, right? Like, and probably up to the age of 3 or 4, that's when we start being told, don't do that, don't cry, don't show your emotions, and we start making it wrong about ourselves. Oh, there's something wrong with me because I'm crying, or I'm being mad, or I'm being like flustered, and so we are stopped from expressing ourselves, expressing our emotions, and so we grow up thinking that there is something wrong in being vulnerable or in expressing these emotions about ourselves. And so that journey is to unlearn all of that and to relearn how to channel that energy, how to process that energy so it's more healthy, right? And then so we become healthier in our mind, body, and soul. And when I say body, I don't only refer to, eating well and doing physical work. That is part of the whole package. That's a holistic approach. That's wellness. And it's important. It's a very important portion of it. However, I'm going to say that the major work, it has to be at the mental level and the spiritual level. Because, when we can go to the gym and spend 6 days a week, have a ripped body, eat the best food, but yet we're still going to be the best limited version of ourselves. And so when we also do the mental work, the emotional work, and the spiritual work, and integrate all of that, that's when we become boundless. We become the best version of ourselves. And so, yeah, and so integration is definitely a very key component in the self-development transformation journey. And I can talk forever about this topic because it's one of my favorite topics, but I'm gonna do this video because I think it's almost half an hour. I don't want to make it too long, and I want to make sure that the message is not lost, because I can, like I said, I can talk about it forever. But I probably most definitely going to do a second part of it. And so the message today is what it's in that way in your life to, that is blocking you from closing that gap where you are and where you want to be. And not to say that where you are is the wrong place. If you are meant to be there, you're meant to be there, right? Accept it, recognize it. But that also gives us the opportunity to take action and to recognize and to be responsible for the person that we are being. Because if we're like, I'm going to give you an example. We're going to be reacting to what people say, right? People can say whatever they want to say. Honestly, it doesn't really fucking bother me anymore. They can say, you're crazy. Oh my God, like who you think you are, it's okay. You know why? Because now I believe who I am. I know who I am, truly. And it is the most beautiful thing. I might not have the certifications of a psychotherapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist or as a someone, like Tony Robbins or those multimillionaire coaches. And it's honestly, I mean, appreciate that, because they're doing something fulfilling. They're helping people. And that's my goal. That's my vision, to help others, to inspire others, to do the work, but for a good cause, for the cause that you are going to transform, that you're going to be inspired to want to do and change yourself, so you can have a more successful interactions with other people, with your loved ones, with your work, and you can become the better version of whatever role you have at work. Better parents. Me as a parent, there's been so many lessons learned in the last couple of years since my daughter, became diagnosed with ADHD. Understanding someone that's going through ADHD has been another challenge for me, and it's part of being an integration for me and my daughter, my relationship with her, and my relationship to myself, of what I'm making mean about having my daughter with this condition. And so again, not to make it a story, it is what it is, accepting it how it is, and accepting her condition and her, because she's a human being going through her own experience, right? And so we can get lost in the expectations, demands, and a lot of these things that we expect our kids to do. But at the same time, they are in their own journey, right? They are gonna learn, they are gonna make mistakes, and as a parent, I cannot always be making decisions for her or being there for her all the time. She has to make her own decisions. And so in any case, yeah, so that's been also part of my integration process, to recognize the parts that have felt hurt because of her experience, or what's the story I'm telling myself about her, and what's the judgment, right? So all of those things are important, that we recognize, that we understand them, that we bring them, to acknowledge them, and so we can integrate them and accept them and integrate them in our lives. And so I'm gonna leave this video here, and I hope that somehow this topic, you feel related to it, that if it speaks to you, please feel free if you have any questions. Next week I will do a second part, because there's a lot more to discuss in regards to integration, because there is the body, the somatic experience as well. And so not to keep it just in the mind, right? Like I said, it becomes the alignment of the mind, body, soul, and spirit. So in any case, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate that, you are making also this commitment to yourself, to find out more about your journey, your self-transformation, your integration process. So if you feel called to ask questions, you're more curious about this, let me know. How you contact me, you can DM me, you can email me. All of that information is on my bio, or you can put a comment, however you feel called to do that. In any case, thank you so much for tuning in again, for the work you're doing for yourself and your loved ones. And in the meantime, have a beautiful day. Namaste. Ciao, ciao. Until the next one.